I rest my case.
Tierney skins Carvajal like he's an old Spanish sausage. Pigs in the box. Handball. McTominay! Albiete! Scotland 2! Spain now! This is what we do! We'll deep fry your paella! We'll deep fry your tapas! We'll deep fry your gazpacho soup! You come to Scotland, you're getting battered!
Hello, this is Allaster McKallaster and welcome back to my brand new show, Pies, where I'll be ordering and tasting pies from around the world. Today I'm in Falkirk for Pollock versus East Stirlingshire. A pie, please. Well, that's all we have time for on Pies this week. Join me next time for more Pies on Pies.
Welcome to the next episode of the Austin Bar Association's Council of Firsts. I'm your host, Amanda Arriaga, First Latina Bar President. Today we talk to Pete Reid, chair of the Austin Bar's Business, Corporate, and Tax section. He may also be Austin's first attorney influencer. Pete is a graduate of the University of Edinburgh School of Law. While there, he received an international scholarship to attend the University of Texas School of Law for 1 year. In 2014, Pete won an award for the Pete Reid TV commercial for Outstanding Achievement in Internet Advertising. If you haven't seen this commercial, I highly recommend it. In 2018, Pete won the International Advisory Experts Award for Business Litigation Lawyer of the Year in Texas, and in 2020, he was named a super lawyer. When he isn't practicing law, you might find Pete on Instagram or TikTok commenting on soccer matches as Allaster McKallaster. For this side hustle, Pete was nominated for Influencer of the Year in Sports by the Scottish Influencer Awards. I'm happy to chat today with my friend, Pete Reid. You're already laughing, Pete. Thank you for being here. You seem surprised by your own biography.
Yeah, I think so. It's I don't really think about awards and things like that. No, it's just funny to hear somebody else list those things, but I don't think those things will be on my gravestone. Some of them, the internet awards or something like that.
Well, it adds interest to the things that you have done for people to know, but I want to start at the beginning and tell us, why did you want to be a lawyer?
That's a great question. But it's not an easy answer. When I was younger, I always wanted to be a writer. Well, I always wanted to play soccer for Scotland, but then realistically I thought I could be a writer. And law in Scotland, where I'm from, is an undergrad degree. It's a 4-year undergrad degree. But at the time when I was younger, I thought I wanted to, if I was going to be a writer, I really liked these comedians, like Blackadder and Brian Laurie at the time, and they'd all gone to Oxford and Cambridge. So I thought I should go and do English at Cambridge University. So I applied and went down to Cambridge, met with the professor of English at Pembroke College, and all he wanted to do was talk about all the books I'd read, and I didn't read books, and he wanted to talk about Shakespeare, and I was like, Shakespeare's overrated, like I'm a writer, I just wanted to write. Anyway, I didn't get in, and then my fallback was to go and study law at Edinburgh instead. So I did that, and but then that led me to Austin, which was a good thing.
I want to go back for a second. If Shakespeare is overrated, who besides you is a good writer?
I'm talking about specifically his comedies.
He's not so funny.
Not very funny, is he?
Like The Bear. Not so funny.
Well, the only people that laugh at Shakespeare comedies are English teachers in a theatre trying to show everybody else when the funny parts are. Like, ha 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 ha! And they've read it like 10 times, so.
I just want to make sure for the audience, if we have any Shakespeare lovers, you're not throwing shade at them.
I mean,
he's fine on the drama,
but
you guys.
Objectively, he has to be the most overrated writer ever, because he is the best, supposedly the best, but...
So we poo-pooed on Shakespeare. We decided we might as well be a lawyer.
I'm getting flashbacks to this is exactly how the Cambridge interview went. I already stepped in it.
So you might as well be a lawyer. You're studying in Scotland, and then you got to come to UT Austin for a year.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
So this was in 1995, and there was like a thing on the wall that said opportunity. It was the first time they'd ever done it, an exchange year sort of opportunity in Texas, all paid for. I'd have been 19 at the time, and I just applied for it. My grades were good enough, and I went, and I was the only person. I got here. Again, no phone, no laptop. No, I didn't know anybody, didn't know where to live either. And this was in a week before school starts, so middle of August, 1995. And so that was hard. I ended up sleeping on the floor of the receptionist at the UT. UT's like student centre or something, because I was like, I've got nowhere to go. I didn't even have a credit card. I had like traveller's checks. It was a Saturday, and the banks were closed. So, but it was a really good year, like academically. The law school was amazing, but
well, and you must have been the youngest person, because you typically don't start American law school until you're like 22.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And also, law in Scotland isn't as much of you can do that degree without necessarily becoming a lawyer. Everybody at law school is kind of driven. They're paying the money. They're going to be a lawyer. Whereas I'd sort of done law as more like, this sounds like interesting. And I was doing like philosophy of law courses, jurisprudence, that type of things. And then I did that here. I did sports law and some just like more interesting family law. So bioethics was good. But then I was really homesick for a while when I first got here. And then so the big thing that happened was my brother passed away. I had a younger brother. He died. I had to go back to Scotland for a couple of weeks. And then I came back to Austin to try and deal with that or not deal with that. So that kind of was the whole... It was kind of like what happened that year. I mean, a lot of stuff happened that year. But then I went back to Scotland, finished my degree, my fourth year. But at that point, I didn't want to practice law. I just wanted to get my degree and then go and deal with all the stuff that had happened. And so I decided I was going to write about it. So I went to Australia, of course, and wrote a screenplay about it. So, but that was like, I hadn't decided at that point to be a lawyer. I was still like, I'd done the law degree, been to Texas, but then I was on a different path at that time. That's the question.
I mean, we have a lot to unpack, but eventually, I mean, your life might be a movie. So when we're done with this, you might make a screenplay that finishes it, because you might be the most interesting lawyer story that we've had so far. But you became a screenwriter in Australia, and then you must have at some point taken the bar and been a real lawyer in New York, which is famously a hard thing to do. So tell me about your time in New York.
Actually, what happened was I was in Australia and I decided I wanted to be a lawyer, but I was like, I'd watched this TV show called This Life, which was about these barristers in London. I was like, I'm going to be a barrister in London. So I applied to become a barrister in London, and I got accepted to the first part of that. But then I revisited Austin on the way back. I'll give you the short version of this. I met a girl that I dated in Austin. She ended up coming to Scotland with me. We got married in secret, another story. But then she didn't like Scotland. So I ditched the barrister stuff. I went back to Scotland, worked at the Scottish Parliament, became a mediator. And then she decided to go to Austin, and I came back with her to Austin. That was in 2002. That was my first ex-wife. And then after a few years back in Austin, I was about to turn 30, to get to your question, and I thought I should probably get a proper job now. That law degree I had, I wasn't eligible to do this Texas state bar exam, but I wrote off to New York, and they said, yeah, that undergrad law with the 1 year in Texas is enough to take the New York bar exam. So I was like, okay, I should do that, because I also had a lot of debt and things, And so I got some books and CDs and studied, and then went to Albany, took the test, passed it, and then again, for the fourth or fifth time, went to New York with nothing, knowing nobody, nowhere to stay, no job, and then just tried to make my way in New York. That's that part.
If I was going to draw out your career, instead of being in a straight line, it's like a crime drama with like the pins and the red string just going through and through.
If you're suggesting that I've murdered people in all these different places.
No, it's just like how I would map it out. It's not quite a straight line. Some of us are very boring and we go from high school to college to law school. And some of us have more excitement than that.
Well, that would have made an easier answer to your first question if I just, when I was 8, I knew that I saved my hamster from the death, penalty, and then I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. So, but no.
Those hamster death penalties are very tricky.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't know. Didn't happen.
If you grew up here, you might know that. So you get a job in New York, you're a successful lawyer, and then you choose again to come back to Austin.
Yeah, I worked in some good law firms in New York. I did some PI mid-mal work, which got me great experience trying cases, hundreds of depositions, that type of thing, all over the city, all over New York. Then I worked with a real estate firm, and had some good cases. They had some really good clients. Like I worked on remember the Ground Zero Mosque? I defended them, got death threats and stuff from people on that. That's another story. Had a case involving John Lennon's psychic, which was a really good case. There's like a lot of sort of high profile cases, but that's right. No, the plan then was I'd been about 35 and I was married again. And the plan was we were going to go to Scotland and start a family there, try to start a family there. But I applied, having been in New York for like 4 or 5 years, I applied to the equivalent of the Scottish bar to become a lawyer there. But they told me that degree wasn't enough. My experience wasn't enough to be a lawyer in Scotland. They're like, no, you have to go back to school to do a diploma, and you have to be a trainee in a firm for 2 years. And then after another basically 3 years of more unpaid work, you could be a lawyer. And so when I got that, I was like, I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to take my another ex-wife, on that journey. So that my wife at the time was from Austin, and she was like, "Why don't we go back to Austin?" That was in 2010, and it just seemed like the economy was in the toilet, and it just seemed like that seems like the easiest thing to do, and then by that point, having worked in New York for, I think it was 3 years, I then became eligible to take the Texas bar. So I took the Texas bar, became a Texas lawyer, tried to find a job here in Austin, couldn't. And so kind of reluctantly set up Pete Reid Law. But the firm I was with in New York, I basically, for about a year or two, I kept sort of working remotely when that was kind of a new thing, to go up to New York maybe once a month and work on cases, go to court, and then come back, and sort of slowly built up my practice to where I had enough of my stuff, and I didn't stop working with the New York firm after a couple of years.
Well, and it seems like, based on everything that you have said and what I know about you, you've sort of always wanted to be an entertainer. The law is great, and you have the skills to do that, and you have impressive clients and a super cool commercial that I think that we should put a link to it in the chat so people can see it, because it's an award-winning commercial by the interneties or something. But you took all of this, you wanted to be a writer, you wrote a screenplay, and I guess to stick it to Scotland, because they didn't want you to be a lawyer there, you decided to now comment on soccer matches and become so popular in Scotland that you were nominated for Influencer of the Year as Allaster McKallaster. So tell us about Allaster McKallaster.
Okay, Allaster McKallaster. I don't know how to describe this.
I mean, he's the Batman to your Bruce Wayne, no?
Oh, yes. Not as wealthy, but yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, and there was a time, and basically until today, where I was keeping them quite separate. But today, the secret's out. No, yeah, so I started, I've always just done, like you said, I made that commercial, which was supposed to be funny, as opposed to be, 99.9% of lawyer commercials are done with the view to advertising and getting clients. Whereas I just wanted to make one because I thought it'd be good fun. And there's a pretty fine line between making an entertaining lawyer ad and also attracting clients. It may not even be possible. But I did get a lot of clients from it.
Well, sure, because most ads are like, I can get you money for your accident. And what you did was say, like, I can stop you in the middle of your robbery.
Yeah, I wanted to be basically a superhero. Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. Maybe that was my first Batman. So yeah, I've always just done creative things, and I've written other screenplays, and I do like a Burns night every year, all about Scottish poetry and things. And I had some friends that had a radio show, and I thought it'd be fun to call it here in Austin. And I thought it'd be fun to call in every week and just rant about something. And so I would leave a voicemail, and I created this character called Allaster McKallaster. And that was kind of fun to do. I did that for about a year. And then their show got cancelled, unrelated to my involvement. And but then when Austin got a new team, there was something about, they had their own commentators. And there was something about how their own commentators were really biased. Like they're just, and you get it a lot in American sports where, if it's a baseball team, they have their own announcers. And they'll react very warmly to something their own team does well. And then when the other team does something, they're like, oh, well, whatever. And there was something about that I thought was really funny. Even have two people watching, of opposing teams watching a game, they'll see the same incident very differently. And I thought there was something funny in that. So I just started making, basically they're like videos where I take the commentary. I learned at one point how to edit. I was making music videos and things like that. So, and films. So I know how to edit. So I take the footage, I strip out all the audio, I add in new crowd noise, and then I re-record a commentary over the top to make it seem as realistic as possible, but also as trying to be funny. And so I did that. It's only been about maybe 2.5 years I've been doing it. But about 2 years ago, one of the videos went viral. I don't know. I was thinking that what constitutes going viral? Like how many views is viral?
Well, you have them. I mean, with 60 million views, is that how many you have?
I think it's like 250 million views now.
Humble brag.
I got to correct you. But I think I've had, anyway, that one got about 4 million views.
Here come England down the right hand side, crossed into the box, Hurst, terrible first touch, shoots off the bar and out, and cleared away for a corner kick. But England trying to claim it was a goal, the cheats that they are. Here's the replay, the shot, the ball did not cross the line, look at that, it couldn't be more obvious. He's given a goal, I don't believe it. We are never going to hear the end of this.
A few moments later.
Hiffed forward by Charlton. Hurst, that's a handball. And some people are on the pitch. So why is the ref not stopping the game? Hurst kicks the ball away. That should be a booking. Is that a goal? How is that a goal? There were literally two hippies in the penalty box being chased by the police. Sad and controversial end to the World Cup final 1966. Let's call it a draw.
And it was England won the World Cup in England. This is soccer. It's mostly soccer. England won the Soccer World Cup, as I'm sure you remember, in 1966.
Of course.
And so it was just like, if there was a Scottish commentator commentating on that, how would he commentate? Would it just be like he'd be complaining when England scored that it wasn't a goal and all these? To me, it writes itself, right? So I did it. For some reason, it took off and got millions and millions of views. And then on the back of that, I was like, oh, there's something here. And I started to make more and more videos. And mostly about England, because that's just like easy. It's just, I hate to say it, but all I have to do is think about watching football with my dad, and and the things that he might say. I'm like, that's right, he would say that, yeah. And then I just say it, and then I put it out. It's great.
But it's funny because it started because you're a smart person. It started because you wanted to expose the bias in sports journalism.
Well, I don't think I'm not crusading for any journalism. It was just, I thought it was funny. I thought there's some humor there, like saying something that's so blatantly biased that it's funny. And so whenever I describe it, so the character's called Allaster McKallaster, and he has sideburns just like this and a tie like this, and I always describe him as an unbiased Scottish commentator, but because it's so obvious that he's not, like that's the joke, and it's in the space of the last 2 years though, it's gone properly viral, whatever that means. So now I have hundreds of thousands of followers,
including some famous ones.
Like from music, film, like sports, like the Prime Minister of Australia. I mean, like it's like honestly, it goes like you could name. Yeah, no, it's mad. Like so many of the comedians and the people that I really loved growing up have now started following and liking and sharing the videos. It's mad. Like it's the best thing to like I did a video last night and basically scheduled it to post this morning. Like we're like 5 or 6 hours ahead from the UK. Said it to post like at 3 a.m. our time. Then I woke up this morning at like 6:30 and look at my phone and I have 100,000 people have seen it, like thousands of comments and likes, all like 99% positive. And that's like, it's incredible. That's not a thing that existed that I could have conceived of when I was younger. But in terms of like, because writing a screenplay, you have an idea for a screenplay, you write it for a year, you give it to friends or you give it to someone, maybe they take months to read it, they think that's okay. Like they don't get any sort of reaction or you don't get the feedback, there's this gratification of the satisfaction of like, oh, this people liking something.
So we know that you're a lawyer, we know that you're an influencer, we're going to go back to the lawyer. We know that you're an entertainer. What do you hope people know about you?
Okay, well, there was a part of me that wasn't sure if I should do this, as I told you, because if people see this and they're trying to think should they hire me as a lawyer, they might think, wait, he's some idiot with sideburns making videos for Ryan Reynolds. He's not going to be a good lawyer. So I would hope that people won't have listened this far anyway, but if they have, they'll hear the stuff about the cases I worked on and the experience I've got and everything else. But at the same time, there might be people watching this that are interested in Allaster McKallaster and they're like, he can't be a real comedian if he's a lawyer, So I hope people realize that it's just the same person. But then I also I just hope that they think about me. That's fine. Think about me whatever way they want.
Well, they're going to think about you more when you turn all of your screenplays into movies, whether you're Allaster McKallaster or not.
Yeah.
So what do you think is next for you?
Right, well, I mean, it's Halloween, recording this on Halloween, so even tonight, so I'm a single dad as well, so I gotta like do some Halloween stuff. And there's some law stuff which I've got to do. But in a couple of weeks, I'm going back to Scotland and I'm going to film, I'm not sure what to call it, like a web series or a sitcom for Allaster McKallaster that I've written. I've written 14 episodes and I've cast, it's all set, like I've got these like well-known actors and actresses to be in it. And I'm going to film that. And I've also been nominated for another award in London, the Football Content Awards. So I'm going to go and do that in a couple of weeks. And then on New Year's Eve, I'm singing in my Oasis tribute band, which is going to be fun. And then after that, then I'll edit the web series. That'll probably be coming out in January and early next year. So that's where the interaction of the screenplay writing and the McKallaster. And then as long as I don't get, and then if I get sued, then I can bring my legal expertise into it as well.
Well, I would be happy to put any of the links in the podcast notes to any of these things that are linkable. When the web series comes out, we can add that too. I think you are concerned that people might think that this link of your alter ego and your lawyer ego are strange, but everybody's weird behind the scenes, right? Everyone has their own stuff, and maybe they don't want to talk about how they have a cookie business on the side, or they write fan fiction on the side for Twilight movies or something. You know what I mean? So I think this is all just, it's a commercial about all the great things that you have done, all the things that you've done for the bar. I mean, you do all these things, and you're still a pretty good lawyer.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't know if everybody's weird, but I mean, I think I'm pretty honest about being weird. I'm quite happy to be weird. You know, I used to be kind of worried about keeping them apart, but it's like, whatever.
Well, thank you for being here today. I think the audience is going to love this, and we'll see you next time.
Warren Barton peering through his ridiculous curtains. Crossley, Dropsley. Oh, and he absolutely stoats the ref, and he is deed. No sympathy given from the players. He gets a do your job from Roy Keane, and then a wooga from John Fashanu. That's Kimmel. I think he's okay. He might be a bit doolally though. Yeah, he might now think that Roy Keane is a polite, level-headed gentleman, and that Warren Barton has a decent haircut.